Hi, and welcome again to another edition of Market Analysis for today, October 7th of 2024. I'm Giovanni Benacourt, and this is a recording previous to the U.S. session open. All right, so we're looking at the NASDAQ on a daily chart. We've seen that the markets last week really held their fluctuation, kind of up, shoppiness here, shoppiness there, a bit moving to the downside, and just equilibrium, and then some sort of a movement to the upside. The pivot point that we had used previous week, we need to update that. So let's just update it. Let's go back to a week. Let's use the levels, last week's fluctuation, and to determine the typical price for this week, where we could probably see the typical price, right? You could also use Fridays, but I'm just going to use last week's just for argument's sake. So we use the high 20,329.25 plus the low 19,817.25 plus the close 20,201.50 equals divided by 3, 20,116. So that is going to be the new pivot point, the new value for the pivot point, 20,116.16 for the NASDAQ. All right, so now let's take a look at half an hour so to see where we are, and we are right around right now above the pivot point. So in this half an hour chart, the market NASDAQ has created a double bottom, and from here, this double bottom, it has fluctuated to the upside. So right now we are above the typical price, the pivot point, and we have obviously that 50-day moving average that we can come in and speculate. That's what the market will fluctuate towards, perhaps, and then you find that resistance. But obviously, the markets, they're appearing to be setting up for a movement to the upside. I mean, it could be, obviously, this week we do have a lot of at the beginning of the week today we don't have that much, but we have the Fed, the FOMC minutes on Wednesday, CPI coming out, also PPI coming out. Also, we're gonna have the earnings season, starting with the Bank of New York, Mellon, some other companies, as also BlackRock also reporting. So we started off a new earnings season. So that will, let's see if that will obviously help us come and revisit those all-time highs for the indices. So that we have here for the NASDAQ. So initially, I'm looking 20,400 in this half an hour chart. Appears to be further away. But so let's just update that, and let's just use the top Bollinger Band as our probable level of resistance, and then as support 20,000 just jumps at me because it is a round psychological number for it. So let's use that puppy. Now let's go into the S&P, and again let's do the weekly so we can get that the pivot point. So on the S&P we do have a bit more of fluctuation. The NASDAQ was just really flattish, So at 5821.70 plus 5724.08 plus the close 5794.00 equals 17,340 divided by 3. That's 5,780. Basically, because of what last week being such a sideways movement in equilibrium, we've seen that the pivot points are going to be very, very similar to each other for this week. So using this half an hour chart for the S&P, same kind of fluctuation as a NASDAQ, double bottom, move to the upside. In this case, the 50-day moving average is below the pivot point, and the market is not above the pivot point. So we could come and speculate that the market is usually setting up for a nice move to the upside. So let's just use the top Bollinger Band, 5,804 as a probable level of resistance, and just bring up this level of support to 5750. and see how that will portray later on today. Now the Dow, let's take a look at the weekly so we can obtain that fluctuation and get that pivot point, which is also going to be very similar to where it's at right now. But let's just do the mechanics. 42,712 plus 42,140 plus 42,631.50 equals divided by 3. That gives 42,494. So that's going to be our new level for 42,494.5. So there we have the new pivot point for the Dow, which, basically, again, this one did move a bit more, a couple of hundred points, but not as much as, not as much as we want it to be. But anyhow, this so far in the Dow, we've seen the market is just right there at the pivot point. So, can we expect a move to the upside? Let's take a look at half an hour charts and see how we are going to be, moving with the markets. So we see that the market is right below the pivot point in this half an hour. Also, double bottom, move to the upside. 50-day moving average is above the market, so we can here speculate that it will do that. Let's use the top Bollinger Band as our probable level of resistance, and let's just bring it up to 42,200, a nice round level of support for the Dow. Let's take a look at the Russell, and okay, so the Russell has a bit more of a momentum to the upside in this half an hour, I see. So let's just take a look at last week's fluctuation so we can get that pivot point for the Russell. It has more than the other ones. So 2237.19 plus 2169.44 plus 2210.23 equals 6,001 divided by 3, so 2,205. That will be the pivot point for the Russell, which is not in this particular chart. So let's just add it. Okay, boom. Let's just use the 2205.62. All right, so that we have for the Russell. Now let's go in half an hour and see how that fluctuation is going to be looking for today. So we do see that in this case, the Russell is fluctuating much stronger than the other ones, above the 50-day, above the pivot point, and above the 20. So we are in a momentum to the upside from a double bottom as well. So let's give a target for today. So the top Bollinger Band is going to be our target, and then let's just bring up our level of support to 2184. Okay, and so that's our level for today. Again, speculating move to the upside. Now, crude oil has been doing more of obviously, move to the upside after Biden comments about if Israel will retaliate on Iran's crude oil inventories and facilities. So that obviously brought some momentum or some volatility to the crude oil, and we are right there. We fluctuated above that resistance of $76, and we did a throwback, but it did pass that will be now support, but now I'll go back to being resistance, because being supported when the market was above it, and now the market is below it, so again resistance, but we have been there so far today. So let's just use the top Bollinger Band as a probable level of resistance, and let's just use 74.50, which is shy below of the 50-day moving average as a probable level of support. Okay, so speculating a move to the upside as well in this half an hour chart. And let's take a look at the Nat Gas in this half an hour chart, which also is just it's just making really equal highs, equal lows, move to the momentum to the side, just sideways trading. So a breakout obviously is considered here. So the breakout, but in this case we are below the level of support. So let's just bring that puppy down and use 258, and then the level of resistance. Let's just use that 200-day moving average as our probable level of resistance. And then here we have our levels for today for Nat Gas. Then let's take a look at gold. So gold, again, also moving higher, looking to the upside. I'm gonna bring down my level of resistance to 2670. Gold is fluctuating to the downside right now. Strong momentum to the downside. So just profit taking after this movement. So let's see if this will initially fluctuate through our levels of moving average of 50 and the 20 towards our lower Bollinger Band. So let's see if that will be the case, or will it find support buyers around this area. 2650 could be that level where we could probably find, which is sitting right above the 20-day moving average. So far in this half an hour, gold is trading lower. So go with the trend, half an hour trend. So then we have silver. So silver is sitting right above the 200-day moving average. Let's see if silver fluctuates lower, which is basically also what the lower band of the Bollinger Band is. So let's see if it'll rebound from here, okay, and move to the upside for silver. Copper also doing a momentum to the downside, and so far in this half an hour chart. So let's see if it'll come back down to this double bottom that was created earlier today and fluctuate to the upside. So initially selling the metals. Bitcoin has recouped, but again, it just fluctuated above that 63,500 and then quickly retreated, bouncing off the lower Bollinger Band. The 200-day moving average is further away, and our level of support is really far away. So let's just bring that puppy up. 62,000 is what jumps at me, which is right above the 200-day moving average. So that's where I'm going to place it. And since we have already fluctuated above this level of resistance has been violated, let's just use that top that has been created so far in this half an hour. So that'll be 6,400 points around that. So let's see if it'll rebound and move higher. Then the currency is the euro. Wow, the euro has broken below 110. So now 109,400 will be our level of support for the euro. And let's just bring down this level of resistance to, again, 110. Before it was a level of support, now it's a level of resistance, which will probably come back and fluctuate above it. Let's take a look at the pound, which is also has retreated way below towards our level of support. Our resistance is way too high. Let's use a 30-day moving average as a probable level of support. So we do have two different types of resistance here. So let's just keep that 130 there and see what will happen. And then the dollar index seems to be just it was recuperating, did a break off to the downside. So the 50-day moving averages and the lower Bollinger Band are acting as a nice level of support for it. 101.5 is going to be a level of support for it. 102.5 resistance. So there they are. Keep an eye on the dollar index. So if it does fluctuate to the upside, we'll see a continuation to the downside on the metals and the currencies. So have a great trading day, and I'll see you tomorrow.